It does look slightly more hydrated than what my skin started off. Yeah, that looks beautiful. I actually think that looks super, super flawless. Let's look at the skin. Do we see how incredibly different this wore compared to the first day? I think I have concluded my thoughts on this. I have no clue what's going on here. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, then welcome. My name's Christina, and on my channel we talk all things beauty from my own experiences. I have been getting over this cold. You can probably hear it in my voice right now. I apologize if it's kind of difficult for you to understand what I'm saying. My voice keeps going in and out, but I wanted to get this video out for you guys. We are talking all about the brand new LYS stick foundation. It is called the Triple Fix Serum Skin Tint Stick. I have this in the shade TG1. I had a time trying to shade match myself, you guys, as I always do, but we are going to do a full first impression. We're going to do a couple days of wear. I'm going to do it a little bit differently than I normally do based on some of y'all's feedback, and we're going to talk about all of my final thoughts and who I think this foundation is catered to. So if you guys are interested in seeing all of my thoughts and going on this journey with me, then let's get started. I was very, very surprised to know that my closest shade match was a golden shade match. If you are not new around here, you know that I am a neutral undertone through and through. But when I went into the stores, because I could not decide, looking at their promo photos and looking at videos on TikTok and YouTube videos, trying to shade match myself, nothing looked like it was going to be an exact shade match. So I decided to go into the store and swatch the different shades myself. I swatched them all together. I swatched them down my cheek, down to my neck, and I also swatched the Dior foundation stick in store, and I compared it to the different LYS foundations, because if you saw my Dior stick foundation video, you saw that that one was pretty much a perfect match for my skin. So I tried to pick whatever was the closest thing, and it was this one. I want to do a couple days wear test. I haven't decided quite yet how many days we're going to be doing, but I decided that my first day, I'm not going to be using any sort of primer or any sort of setting spray, and any other time I would use primer, powder, setting spray, just to make sure that the foundation stays the best. But in order for you guys to get a good feel for how this may work for you, because I know not everyone uses primer, not everyone uses setting spray, not everyone uses powder, I should probably use this the most simplified way possible for you guys to just kind of gather how it may work with your products. So thank you to everyone that gave me some feedback on this, and I think being able to see how this wears by itself will determine how we wear on the second day. And it says it's an all-in-one serum, primer, and skin tint. So I guess this kind of covers the primer aspect of things. I don't know. But today we're just going to use this as is on the face. We're not going to do anything extra with it. I do want to go in with a little bit of color corrector just to see. I love using color corrector to just help with any hyperpigmentation. Sometimes I find that under foundations, my hyperpigmentation and blemish spots can look a little bit gray, and the color corrector really helps to stop that from happening, and it covers it up a lot better. So I think instead of doing any primer, I'm just going to use some color corrector on one side of the face, and then on this side we will do as is with just the foundation stick. So let's start. This is the Sigma Duo color corrector in medium to dark. I love this. Obviously you can see this is part of my project pan. I'm just going to use this all over, specifically right here on my chin, because I do have a lot of healing acne spots right there from some hormonal acne that I've been going through the last couple of weeks. I have some freckling up here and a little bit of darkness under my eyes that we're also going to be concealing with the color corrector. And we are just going to let that sit for a second while we do this side of the face. So I am going to apply this and blend it out with my fingers. I think that's a really good way to see what the texture of the foundation is like. So all I have on my face right now is my skincare, and now we're gonna go in with the foundation stick, and it says to apply generously, so that's what we're gonna do. A little less on the forehead. I don't normally put too much foundation on my forehead. So right off the bat, it doesn't feel like it's a very greasy or slippery type of foundation. It kind of feels like it has a little bit of tug to it, which is not terrible, especially for me, someone with oily, acne-prone skin. I find that foundation sticks, the more like matte it is, the better for my skin. And I guess that goes with like any foundation really. But while this does have a little less tug, and For lack of a better term, it's a little drier than other foundation sticks versus being more hydrating and I guess greasy or slippery. This does not look like it's dry on the skin. Like it doesn't look cakey, and it doesn't completely get rid of any of like the glow that I have going on with my skincare. It is a very thin consistency. I don't find that this feels super greasy. It doesn't feel really slippery or thick. Okay, so my first thoughts on this side of the face, and again, we don't have any color corrector going on. This was just on a bare face. I think that this looks really nice. It's kind of clinging to this pimple right here. I have been using like benzoyl peroxide and other like acne medications right here. So this spot is quite dry, but it kind of looks like it went completely over it, which is very interesting. You can see there's a little bit of like a foundation ring around the acne spot. We'll see how that does with another layer of foundation and concealer. But other than that, it does seem like it's slightly covered up the acne right here going on my chin, and you can still see a lot of my freckling actually and post-acne scars right here on my cheeks, but it did completely even out my skin tone. It looks very, very natural, which I really like. And like I said, it didn't completely mattify my skin, and it feels like an extremely thin layer of foundation. So now that this has set for a minute or so, let's go in with a little extra foundation just in the spots where we need some more coverage. I'm gonna use this almost as like a second layer slash concealer. And since we're kind of like spot concealing with this foundation, I am gonna go in with my concealer brush. This is the BK Angie Hot and Flashy A506 brush, and I'm just gonna blend this foundation out so it's seamless. It blends out super effortlessly. Like I can just blend out the edges and it already looks like it's completely blended out, but I am gonna blend it out a little bit more. Okay, with that extra layer, almost that like spot concealing layer, it pretty much covered up all of those problem areas that I was a little concerned about. This pimple right here, this healing pimple, it still does show a little bit. However, it did cover up pretty well. I won't say it completely covered it, but for the most part, you can't really see it. I think once we put like concealer and powder and stuff on top of it, it's gonna be a non-issue. Yeah, that looks beautiful. I actually think that looks super, super flawless. Now let's go on this side. And again, this is the side that we have that color corrector. It has been setting for a couple of minutes now. So I'm just gonna try to go in with pretty much the same amount of foundation. I really like how easy this is to blend even with your fingers. I'm finding with a lot of stick foundations, I really enjoy when they're easy to blend with my fingertips. Now seeing this on the skin, I do think that this is slightly more golden, slightly more warm than my skin tone, my neck included, but I think we can still make it work. This seems to start to dry down fairly quickly once you start blending it in, which I think is a plus for all of us that have more oily skin. So this is the side with the color corrector. I do feel like it gave me the same amount of coverage. However, those spots that I can see, they're not as noticeable, like they don't look as gray. And I don't see it as much right up here. And I feel like my chin is covered up a lot better. Again, I'm gonna go in with another little spot concealing layer and then blend it out with that same brush just to make sure that we have even coverage. But so far, it's looking really nice. I think that this looks very nice on the skin. It's sitting really well. It does look slightly more hydrated than what my skin started off. Like now that I'm looking at it even more, I really enjoy when my foundations start off a little bit more dewy and then I go in with more mattifying products like a mattifying powder, a mattifying finishing powder, and some setting spray and stuff. The texture of this, it actually feels like it dries down pretty well. It doesn't feel oily like some dewy foundations can feel. And considering that they categorize this as a skin tint, I feel like it feels more like a foundation versus a skin tint, because to me a skin tint is more moisturizer than actual like foundation, if that makes sense. This looks pretty good. I'm gonna go in with my usual blush and bronzers. We're gonna skip the setting spray, but we are going to be setting the face just because I know that I'm going to have to set the face for this to look how I want it to look. So concealer, blush, bronzer, and then we'll be back to set the face together. Okay guys, I am back. I just finished my concealer, my blush, my bronzer. I will put everything in the description box down below for you guys. We are going to be using the Makeup by Mario setting powder. This is in the shade number 3 Neutral Peach. I am still testing this out. I've used it about 3 to 4 times now, and so far I do find that it does mattify my skin very nicely. I really like this because the sifter actually like comes off here just like that, so you can access the powder if you want to just like dip in. I really like the way that everything is sitting. All of the concealer, blush, bronzer, like my creams and everything like that went onto the foundation really nicely. And when I say bronzer and blush, I do mean like my cream and my liquid bronzer and blush. I haven't used any powder on the face yet, but we're just gonna go in with the powder and bake under the eyes. I do this normally because I find that it just smooths out my under eyes really nicely, and it stays the best throughout the day this way. So I'm gonna do a pretty generous bake here. And then any excess powder that I have on my puff, I'm just going to tap around the rest of my face. All right, and after that has set for just a couple of minutes, I'm really not gonna let it bake for too long. I'm gonna just use a clean brush right here. This is the BK Nikki LaRose N15, and I'm just going to buff in all of that baking powder here onto the rest of the face. I don't find that the powder is clinging to any of the foundation on the face. I think it just smoothed everything out really flawlessly. Now I'm just gonna finish the eyes, go in with my powder, blush, and bronzer, and then we will be back to talk about my first impressions. Alrighty guys, I just finished my full face of makeup. This is what the foundation is looking like on the skin. I think that this is looking really nice. It's sitting so well on the face. So first of all, I do want to say that I really enjoy the fact that I can blend this out with my fingertips. I'm really liking foundation sticks that are easy to blend with my fingertips. I just find it makes it that much easier. I think that this is sitting very well on the skin. I really enjoyed the fact that this dried down pretty evenly, pretty nicely on the skin, even without any powder. Of course, it didn't fully dry down. Like if I were to go in with my fingers and kind of smear it around, it would transfer. But what I mean essentially is that this didn't seem to leave any sort of residue on the skin whenever the foundation tended to dry down and we let it set down for a couple of minutes. I did find that in terms of a skin tint, while we did look really hydrated before setting down with the powder, it didn't feel like I was wearing a heavy face of makeup. Whenever I was blending this out with my fingertips, I was telling you guys that it kind of felt like it had a little bit of a tug, and by that I mean that it didn't feel slippery and it didn't feel greasy. I'm excited to see how this wears throughout the day. In terms of like shade matching to where it doesn't look completely off, I think we did a pretty good job. So those are all my first impressions. I think so far it's seeming like it's going to be pretty promising. It's 1 p.m. in the afternoon right now. I am going to check in midday, and then I will check in at the end of the night to show you guys what this foundation is looking like before we jump into our next day of wears. Hey guys, I am back. It has been 5 hours now. As you can tell, my voice has gotten increasingly worse. Between doing this face of makeup and doing this check-in, I filmed another video, and I guess it was one too many for the day. My voice is completely shot. Please excuse me, but let's go ahead and look at this face. So right off the bat, you guys can see I am incredibly oily right now. I was pretty sure this was gonna happen. Like I've said in the past, you guys, I tend to wear primers and setting spray because I know that my oily skin is going to get oily. It's just the nature of my skin. Because you guys asked me to do no primer, no setting spray, this is what it's looking like. I think if you have dry skin, if you have normal skin, you probably still will see a little bit of dewiness coming through, especially if where you live right now is still pretty hot. I think during the winter time though, this would sit pretty well on the skin. I haven't left the house. I've only been filming. I've been in front of these hot lights today. I've been in front of my computer, and I've been hanging out with my dogs. So really not a ton of like outside factors, everything is still in place. I have made it a point not to touch my face whatsoever, but I'm pretty sure if I like touch my face with my finger, my makeup will come off pretty easily. I do have some movement right here, like under my eyes. You can see the concealer is definitely separating from the powder right here. I think maybe that has to do with the fact that I didn't set with a setting spray. I'm not really sure because I don't really take primer underneath there, and I haven't seen that issue happen with a regular face of makeup. And I have used this concealer and this powder together before, and I haven't seen it separate this much before. So I think that it has to do with the fact that I didn't use a setting spray. I do see some fading right here on this acne scar as well as this active breakout right here. This is the trouble area that we were talking about previously. It's not too bad, like it is noticeable, but it doesn't look terrible. I'm starting to see where my pores are the biggest right here around my nose. We are having a lot of oil production happening there. Typically, if I'm this oily, I would have already powdered though. So on a regular day of makeup wear, I most likely would not be looking like this, other than the fact that I have a lot of oils producing, and that's not the foundation's fault. However, it's not stopping the oils from coming through, but I don't think that it claims to do that. All right, so that is our midday check-in. Again, it's about 6 p.m. I'll probably check in around 10 or 11 tonight. I do want to get to bed fairly early tonight because, as you guys can tell, I need the rest. All right, you guys, I'm back. My voice is even worse and my face is even oilier. This is why I tell you guys, I do these wear tests with my normal makeup routine, because if I don't, this is what happens. No matter what foundation, this happens to me if I don't use primer, if I don't use setting spray, if I don't use powder. Let's look at the skin. Clearly very, very oily. We are looking like a grease ball. I did fall asleep on the couch for like an hour or so, so we have a little bit of like demarcation going on right here. But other than that, it's just a lot of oil, like a ton of oil. I don't even think just powder can get rid of this. I would have to probably use a blotting sheet, and then I would have to use a powder on top of that. Let's see if we can do anything to this face of makeup. I think what I'll do is just use my damp sponge from earlier to try to like blot out some of this oil. I'm not gonna judge this foundation based on just today. We are gonna do another day of wear with more products that are actually gonna help with my oils. Okay, that actually seems like it helped a little bit. So I'm gonna take my Laura Mercier powder. You guys are probably so sick of me pulling this out because it's so cracked, but I can't help it, okay? I love this powder so much, and I'm just going to try to blot down the face as much as possible. And I'm gonna start with smaller sections with less powder, just to make sure, or just to try not to go too crazy. Try to avoid that cakey mess, you know? Okay, this is actually powdering down pretty well. I think taking that beauty blender really helped to just get rid of all of that excess. I know for a fact if I went over all of that oil with just powder, we would start seeing a lot of cakiness here. And aside from right here where we have the demarcation, obviously some of the foundation came off there, so we can't really like add foundation where there's not foundation, you know? You can definitely see the powder here. Like if you got up close, you can see the powder kind of like seeping into my pores. But in a pinch, if I had to wear this face of makeup longer, this is not bad. I've seen worse. I've definitely seen worse. Okay, so in conclusion for the first day, this foundation by itself with just setting it with powder definitely gets oily. I would definitely recommend to use some sort of primer, some sort of setting spray to help it last a bit longer. We are going to do that tomorrow. We are going to do another day of wear so we can see what it looks like on my typical full face of makeup, and hopefully my voice is better by tomorrow. I am really impressed by how this like refreshed. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but it is 10 p.m. So I've had this face of makeup on for about 9 hours today. We'll see how tomorrow goes, guys. Hello, guys. So it has been 3 days now since I first started this video, and I took 2 days off because after I filmed that video, like that first portion of it, I lost my voice completely the next day. I felt way more sick and I decided that I just needed a break, and I'm feeling much better now. So 3 days later, we are going to continue the wear test. Technically, this is going to be my second day of wearing the foundation. So just to clue you guys in on what's been going on with me, I've been thinking about it the last couple of days, and since this foundation says that it has a primer built into it, I thought that maybe today we would only include a setting spray to the mix. So we're just gonna go in with the foundation, do the full face, and then we are going to powder and do setting spray since we already powdered the previous time. Let's go ahead and get started. I feel like, oh my goodness, it's been so long. I'm just gonna go in with this and I'm gonna go all over the face this time. It does feel very creamy, almost greasy at first, but I appreciate that this kind of dries down. Can you guys like hear me smack my face whenever I'm blending this foundation out? I really wanted to film a lot more videos this week. I'm feeling really bummed. I got really down on myself about getting sick because I'm actually gonna be out of town next week. I have a lot of traveling that I'm doing in the next 3 weeks actually. So I really wanted to get ahead of it and like batch film and pre-film a lot of stuff for you guys, so I had like constant videos coming out, but that just did not happen. I got really down on myself about it, and honestly, if it happens, then it happens, you know what I mean? Until I leave next week, I think I'll film like 1 video a day, and hopefully I can get content out to you guys. I'm gonna be going to the West Coast again, 2 different times actually. I'm going for a fun trip that I'm doing for work and for my cousin's wedding. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Hopefully I can get over whatever is going on here and be at my best. I really am enjoying the fact that I can just like use my fingers, which is such a surprise to me because like I keep mentioning, I am not a finger application girl, especially having acne prone skin. But I'm just using my brush to make sure that I take off any excess product and everything is completely blended in before we go in with our concealer. Actually, I think I do want to go in with a little bit more of the foundation on like my trouble areas like we did the other day, just to keep it consistent. By the way, on my eyes, I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury Quad in Exaggerize Bigger Brighter Eyes filter. I don't know what that means, but it looks like this. I got it in an advent calendar last year, which by the way, you guys should let me know what you want to see like content wise for the holidays. Like, do you guys want to see gift sets? Do you want to see more advent calendars? Do you want to see me talk about like holiday deals? Let me know what you guys would want to watch. All right, here's what the face is looking like with 1.5 layers of this foundation. It's looking really good. I still really like the way that this sits on the skin first applied. I think that it looks nice and dewy, and it actually sets down really nicely with powder. So we are gonna go in, do the full face of makeup. I'm gonna powder my face and I'll come back to you guys and set the face with setting spray. Okay guys, I'm back. I finished my face of makeup. I will have everything that I used on my face in the description box down below for you guys in case you're curious on what I'm using. I went for more of a mauvey plum look today. Let me know what you guys think. I'm really trying to like channel my dark autumn color season things. This is what we are looking at. So far, I think the face looks really nice. I made sure to really powder the face down, and this time we're using a combination of the Laura Mercier Ultra Blur Rose Powder as well as my Innisfree No Sebum Mineral Powder. This is one of the powders that I purchased when I was in Japan. I talked about it in the haul. I use this to bake the face and like set the face down, and then I use this as my finishing powder like all over the face. I think, if I remember correctly, I'm looking more matte than I did the first time around. So anyways, I think we're gonna go in with my One Size setting spray. I debated on using more of like a liquid finishing spray or setting spray versus like my finishing spray, you know. But considering how oily I had gotten that first day with just wearing the foundation, I thought maybe it would probably be the safest bet to go ahead and just go in with the finishing spray, and then we'll kind of customize tomorrow based on how we're looking at the end of today. So we will spray this very generously all over the face. Really getting the center of my face. We are set. We are ready for the day. It is 3:30 in the afternoon. I had such a slow start to the day, and honestly, I didn't want to like rush myself getting ready and not rest like fully today. So it's a late start to the day, but I think we're still gonna get pretty good wear out of this. I think I'm still gonna be able to see some changes and differences in the foundation and the face of makeup. Today I'm just working and I'm organizing, taking some photos of some products that I got in, packing for my trip next week, and I don't know, probably just doing a puzzle. That's what I have on the agenda today. I will be back with you guys at the end of the day to show you how the face is looking and all of my thoughts on this face of makeup, this makeup routine. Hi guys, we're back. It is 11:40 at night. So we've had this foundation on for about 8 hours, and this is what my face is looking like with absolutely no touch-ups. Do we see how incredibly different this wore compared to the first day? So again, the first day, first time that I wore this, I did not use any primer, no setting spray, only set the face with powder. And you guys, I don't know if it's like the combination of the powders that I used today plus the setting spray, or if it's just solely from the setting spray. I'm not entirely sure, but my face is looking so good. It legit does not look like I've been wearing this foundation for 8 hours. So for the most part, I just hung out at home, took the dogs out. My husband and I went and did some groceries, went to Costco and watched some TV, and now I'm back here. And honestly, I'm so impressed by the way that this is looking. It legit looks like I have worn this face of makeup for, I would say like an hour, maybe an hour or so. Nothing has moved. If anything, I have a very minimal oil production right here next to my nose, a little bit, maybe not even any oil production on my cheeks. I have no clue what's going on here. So I will say I have used this powder plenty of times. It is quite mattifying, but it's not like keep your face completely matte for 8 hours type of mattifying on its own. But this, I think, may have also played a role in it because I just hear only good things about this. I've worn this maybe twice. I've never set my full face with it though. I've only set like my oily spots, and I don't remember it being super mattifying like this. Maybe I just used it differently today. Maybe the combination of these powders plus my setting spray. All I can say is this foundation wore flawlessly throughout the day. I'm genuinely shocked. Look, it is 11:41 at night. I think the reason why I'm so shocked is because it's a complete 180 from how it wore the first day when it was like so oily I could not. I'm trying to think of the game plan for tomorrow because I'm so impressed by the way that this wore. I feel like this definitely made my makeup last. My gosh, I'm so confused. I don't know. I will be back in the morning. We will figure out what we're gonna do with the face then, and hopefully we will have our conclusion on this foundation. Hey everyone, today is the third day that we are testing out this foundation. I have my full face done. I didn't want to bore you guys with doing my face and makeup on camera again. So again, I will put all of the products that I use in the description box down below. I did use a couple of new products today just to, you know, switch it up and see how this foundation does with a variety of different things. And only a couple things to note here. So I did set my face with my setting spray, same thing, one size setting spray, and I set my face with the same powder that we used yesterday, but the difference that I did today just to test it out is I used the same Innisfree finishing powder on this side. So whenever I finished putting everything on my face, I did a little sweep of this right in this area, you know, and a very light dusting all over this side of my face to finish it off. And then on this side of my face, we are using my favorite Laura Mercier Ultra Blur pressed powder, except it is no longer pressed. It is my cracked powder here, but I use this in the same manner that I use the Innisfree one to finish off my face, but on this side, because I'm really curious if this powder made such a huge difference on its own yesterday. So we will see how everything kind of like plays out. I basically did the same routine, but again with different products, different colors and stuff like that. But for the most part, all of the textures and the like are pretty similar to yesterday. So this is what we are looking like. I really like this blush. This is a Bosma blush, one of their cream blushes. It's about 1 p.m. Today I'm gonna be running some errands, some last minute things that I'm gonna need for when I'm out of town. I'm gonna be cleaning the house and I'm gonna be working a little bit. So we have a little mixture of everything today. It's gonna be quite a long day, but hopefully very productive. I will be back to check in with you guys at the very end of the day. And hello everyone, I am back. It's the end of the day. It's about 10 p.m. So we've had this face of makeup on for 9 hours now. And I'm gonna show you guys a little bit of what is going on here. So as you can see, we are producing a little bit more oil than we did yesterday on the areas around my nose where my pores are a little bit larger on either side. I do have a little bit more oil production, I think, on my forehead as well as like the tops of my cheeks, but this is still a pretty good place to be after 9 hours of wearing. I did do my errands outside of the house. I was out of the house for a couple hours. I did end up doing some chores around the house and working, and this is what we ended up with. Honestly, it looks great. I think the first day, was that a fluke? No, it couldn't have been. Does the one size setting spray really make this big of a difference? That is my question now. I know that this video is about this foundation, but I am completely questioning that setting spray now. I think I have concluded my thoughts on this, and my thoughts are that this is a very versatile, very great foundation. I love that it's compact, that it's in a stick. I love how easy it is to blend into the skin. I think it layers perfectly, at least with all of the products that I've used with it so far. It gives really great coverage. I enjoy the fact that you can build it up on itself without it feeling really heavy and cakey. After a couple days of wear, I can say that I still feel like this is a very lightweight cream stick foundation. I think that this works really well with oily skin. I'm really pleased with that. And as long as you powder down the face and, you know, if you use setting spray, use setting spray with it. And I think you're gonna be really pleased with the amount of wear that you get. I think that the skin just looks so flawless. I'm so pleased. I'm so happy with how this looks. Truly, I think that it is such a beautiful face of makeup to have throughout like a daily basis. I think that this would even be beautiful if you wanted to build on top of it for more of a special occasion. All right, guys, those are all of my thoughts. That is 3 days of a wear for you, just in case you wanted to see everything with this foundation. I'm very excited to continue using this. I do have a couple trips lined up in the next couple of weeks, and I do plan on bringing this because it did such a great job. And maybe since I'll be in drier climates, I won't produce as much oils as I did, so I think this is gonna wear even better. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know in the comments down below if you have any additional questions for me about this foundation. I am more than happy to answer those questions for you. If you guys enjoyed this video and if you found it helpful, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this one, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.